911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's been a while. It's good to see all of you. Thank you, Red Queen, for becoming a member. Absolutely appreciate it. Hey, Frank. Hi, Metal Mama. Outside the Grid, Boston Christian. Love to hunt, love to hunt. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Cynthia Delafonte. Hey, Deb, I've missed you too. Thank you for your great videos with all the documents. Hey, 63 Clocks. Hey, Bobby. Hey, David. Hey, Nana73. Hi, Jill. How are you? Hey, Olivia too. Good to see all of you. David, I'm sorry to hear that you've been under the weather. I hope you're feeling better soon. Hi, Jinx. How are you? Good to see you. Always good to have you guys. Hey, CJK, how are you? Good to have you with me tonight. It's good to see everybody. Hey, Joe. Hello, Brandon. Hey, Rescue. How are you? Good to see you, my dear. Oops. Hey, Brown Skittle. How are you? Hey, Gladys. Hey, Tech Death. Good to see you. Congratulations outside of the grid for joining, and welcome to Behind the Crime Door. We appreciate you. Hey, Peggy Day. Good to see you. Hi, Solar Chef Steph. Hey, Cecil Hotel. Good to have you with me. Hey, Gail. Good to see you. Hey, Corey. Hi, Dr. Poon. Hey, Farmer. Good to see you. Hey, Jamie. Good to have you with us. Thank you so much. Good to have everybody here. Tonight, we're going to talk about some delay tactics that's going on with the defense. Hey, Ruckus. How are you, my dear? It's good to see you. $63 clocks. Thank you so much for your gifted membership. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So I know it's been a minute, you guys. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing well. Hey, Frosty. Good to see you. Thank you. Hey, Witchcraft. Good to have you guys with me. I've been really concentrating on my recovery from my knee replacement surgery. Lots of therapy. The physical therapy is kick-ass, you guys, for absolute sure. It's really something else. But it's well worth it. This past week, I had a minor setback per se. I had a seizing of my quad in my surgical leg. So it made it very difficult for a few days to move my leg. But I've been able to work through that. So I'm feeling better. I was up and around a lot today on it. Went to a birthday party for a 13-year-old. Got home a little bit ago. And yeah, so I thought that I needed to do a live stream because I haven't done a live for a while. And I was like, it's the middle of the month. And we've got a lot of these, filings that are going on and all of this stuff, which, I've told you guys this before. The filings and all of the motions that are being filed on both parts, both sides, both prosecution and defense in this case, is not unusual. This is exactly what happens in court cases. The unusual part of it, first of all, is the defense doesn't seem to have a spell checker. They don't seem to have any type of software that would teach them how to use correct English in their filings. I don't know who's writing these for them, if it's a law clerk or whatever, but they don't have proofreading at all. When you're looking at these types of documents, you would expect them to be pristine, clear, concise. For whatever reason, the defense just likes to use tons of words that don't really need to be in their documents. And I went over the recent filings last night with my judge friend, and we looked at at all of them, and he was specifically interested in the disqualification motion to disqualify, as well as the motion to continue all the hearings. And he was just appalled. First of all, he kept reading. He's like, they've said this stuff before. What is their deal? How many times do they have to be denied before they keep coming back with the same stuff with no new information? And I said, well, it's pretty much a pattern of what they've been doing since they wrote that ridiculous first Faxx motion. And it's just like, what in the world? Seriously, and one of the things that gets me is this thought of, let's get a new judge. We don't like her. She doesn't like us. This isn't a contest on whether or not the teacher likes us or not, guys. That's not what this is about. And can you imagine where our justice system would be if every single time an attorney, whether it be a prosecutor or a defense attorney, didn't like or had issues with a judge, that they were asking for the judge to recuse themselves or take themselves off the case? We would never get through the amount of cases that are facing our judicial system. We're backed up as it is because of COVID. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It would be like going to a baseball game and saying, I don't like that umpire. I want him changed out. No, that's not how it works. That is not how it works. Okay. You have to have a good reason to ask for a judge to be removed from a case. They don't have a good reason. They like to throw out words, and as I call it, word salad, for the benefit of the public, but it doesn't have any bearing or weight on the case. They are trying to get public support and public support of their ridiculousness, in my opinion. And that's why they're doing a lot of what they're doing. So I really don't even know where to begin, honestly, tonight, you guys. There's just so much. It's just, I said it before and I'm going to say it again. When you do not have anything that you could substantially defend your client with, you are going to do everything in your power to keep it out of court. And that's what they're doing. That is exactly what they're doing. And it's like, I mean, I don't know what they expect. The Supreme Court did not remove her. If they think for 1 second that they're better than the Supreme Court in the state of Indiana, their egos are beyond huge. I mean, these guys have really overstepped the line, in my opinion. And now they're basically trying to tie your hands by saying, if you don't rule on the recusal and the removement of yourself first, you can't rule on anything else. So they're trying to basically tie her up. But what they don't understand and what they continually forget is that Fran Gull is an expert on the law. It's why she's a judge. It's why she's not just an attorney. She is an expert on the law in Indiana. An expert, ladies and gentlemen. She is not playing games. She's not going to play their games. And she has their number. She has their number. And yeah, I mean, that's what the defense's job is. The defense's job is to win. The defense's job is to get their client off. That's what the defense is supposed to do. And like it or not, this is where we are. And it's gotten ridiculous. It certainly has. Now, there was an ex parte communication that happened this week in this case that Gray Hughes ended up doing a huge live stream over. And I just feel like I have to talk about, because these letters that are coming from people that don't matter, this one tops the cake. So on Wednesday, May 8th, there was an email that was sent to Francis Gull. And it was from somebody not named E5. What is it? genesiswind@outlook.com is the email address. Okay. Please drop Mr. Allen's charges. Your honor depends on this. You must do something to fix this gross misconduct. There is no probable cause in the Richard Allen case. The evidence of his innocence is beyond overwhelming. Really? Please do the right thing and drop the charges today. To see someone imprisoned before having their day in court hurts Americans all over the country. I'm in Florida. There's a surprise. And have no connection to this case. And my heart has aches every single day that goes by for Libby and Abby and Richard Allen. People all across the country lament while helplessly watching all of our rights being defiled. How could Mr. Allen have possibly committed this crime with what we know now? Abigail's last phone activity in the area was over 12 hours after Mr. Allen had left. First of all, it wasn't Abigail's phone. It was Libby's phone. Lord Almighty. How does walking across a bridge equal 2 counts of first-degree murder? Well, let's see. Walking across the bridge, he brandishes a gun and orders 2 teenagers off the bridge at gunpoint and tells them down the hill, and they end up dead. I think that's how it equals 2 counts of first-degree murder. I walk on trails. Must I fear for my freedom, or will you please end this misery we all bear at the hand of you and Mr. McClelland? I implore you, please do something now. Make this right. Please know you're hurting people far and wide. We fear our rights, our due process, effective counsel who is able to present a case with more than 10 minutes per witness. This man is incarcerated for what? What good comes of this for anyone? What is the probable cause? Guess they didn't read the probable cause document. Please do not delay. We've all read the Click report. Really? You've read the Click report? How did you get your hands on that? Nobody else has the Click report. Wow. The FBI documents. You've read the FBI documents? Where did you get those? The lack of probable cause, the descriptions of 9 distinct people. Good Lord. Only a fool would believe anything that comes from the prosecutor now. A gracious, just act is needed now to restore your own credibility and integrity. That's no integrity of the case to salvage. There is no integrity of the case to salvage. Take the high road and please let this man be free. Let him go home and let us rest peacefully again. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Every moment that goes by without your action is contributing to the diminishment of the right of the public, you and me and everyone we love. This is torture that it is so far reaching. Please do whatever you can to right this egregious injustice that hundreds of thousands of people are burdened by just for knowing it continues. Sincerely, no name, thank you. While there is a lower class, I am in it. While there is a criminal element, I am of it. And while there is a soul, it is in prison, I am not free. Wow. Wow. Just wow. So that person wrote the letter and made themselves a part of this case. Can you believe it, you guys? I mean, seriously, what has this case come to? It gets crazier and crazier and crazier. I mean, I could go in I watched a little bit of Gray when he broke down this letter and how he whined and cried like this person. I just laughed. There was a judgment from the court this week. The defendant's motion to vacate the safekeeping order was set for hearing on May 22nd at 10 a.m. So that was the order that she issued this week. Yeah, Red Queen, I hear you, but she's trying to be as transparent as she can because she's how do I want to put it? Damned if she does and damned if she don't. Because if she wouldn't put it and make it public, then they would scream that, they were writing the court and the court was ignoring them. So it's just ridiculous. It's just the shit just gets deeper. That's about all I can say. So there was a motion to dismiss the motion to suppress that was filed on April the 11th of 2024. And this now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas C. McClelland and requests the court, hang on one second, guys. To dismiss the defendant's motion to suppress filed April the 11th, 2024, in that it is too vague, in violation of criminal rule of procedure 2.7b, and in support of said motion states the following: that the defense filed a motion to suppress on April 11th, 2024, asking the court to suppress the statements of the defendant that the defendant has made while he has been incarcerated in the Department of Corrections. That the defense seems to imply that there are statements made by the defendant while he was incarcerated that were coerced by state actors during a custodial interrogation. That the defense fails to put the state on notice which state actors coerced the defendant, fails to outline which statements they are seeking to suppress, fails to state how the defendant was coerced in a custodial interrogation setting, and fails to outline the basis for their motion. That under criminal rules of procedure 2.7b, when the defendant files a motion to suppress, the defendant must clearly state the items or statements to be suppressed and the basis for said suppression. I think that's pretty clear what that rule states, and the defense hasn't done that. Number 5, that the state contacted the defense and requested that they fix the deficiencies in their motion, but that the defense refuses to give the state any guidance on their motion to suppress and refuses to comply with criminal rule 2.7b. Number 6, that the defense has failed to outline which statements they wish to be suppressed, who the state actors are that coerce the statements, and the basis for the suppression. Wherefore, the state requests that the court dismiss the motion to suppress filed by the defense on April 11th, 2024, and order them to amend the motion so that it is in compliance with criminal rule 2.7b. Again, they just throw things out there. They don't have to back them up. They don't think they have to back them up with any evidence of anything. They just think that they can say it, put it in a motion, put down some words, and it's going to be fine. And I'm glad to see that they're being called out on it. So during the hearing where the court case was continued until October, the defense stood up and said that they were asking for a motion to disqualify the judge. So they did it in verbally, then they came back and did a written motion. And this is the defense's second verified motion to disqualify Judge Gull and request for findings of fact and conclusions of law upon denial of this request if this court denies this request. Comes now the accused Richard M. Allen by attorneys Rosie and Baldwin, and pursuant to Rule 2.4 of the Indiana Rules of Criminal Procedure and the Indiana Code of Judicial Conduct, move for a change of judge from Judge Frances C. Gull or her recusal from this case or cause. In support of said motion, Richard M. Allen swears and affirms as follows. The filing of a motion for disqualification and or request for recusal strips the court of jurisdiction to decide on any matters until a ruling on the disqualification motion occurs. Lucas versus State, 249, Indiana, 637, Indiana, 1968, citing Weir versus State, 37, NE 2D, 537, Indiana, 1941. Pursuant to Indiana Criminal Rule of Procedure 2.4b, the state or defendant may request a change of venue from the judge only for bias or prejudice. The motion must be accompanied by an affidavit signed by the defendant or prosecuting attorney. The affidavit must set forth facts and reasons for the belief that bias or prejudice exists. If the defendant signs the affidavit, the defendant's attorney must file a certification that the attorney believes in good faith that facts recited in the affidavit are true. The court must grant the request if the facts recited in the affidavit support a rational interference of bias or prejudice. Put another way, the facts contained in the affidavit must show that there is a reasonable basis to question the judge's impartiality towards Richard Allen and his defense team. 3. Concomitant with Indiana Criminal Rule 24b is Rule 2.11 of the Indiana Code of Judicial Conduct, which requires a judge to disqualify himself or herself when the judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, such is the case in this cause of action. The rule on disqualification and the canon on recusal both adopt a threshold of reasonableness. For example, would an objective person have a reasonable basis doubting the judge's impartiality? The comments to Rule 2.11 of the Indiana Code of Judicial Conduct provide additional guidance. Under this rule, a judge is disqualified whenever the judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, regardless of whether any of the specific provisions of paragraphs A1 through 6 apply. In many jurisdictions, the term recusal is used interchangeably with the term disqualification. A judge's obligation not to hear or decide matters in which disqualification is required applies regardless of whether a motion to disqualify is filed. A judge should disclose on the record information that the judge believes the parties or their lawyers might reasonably consider relevant to a possible motion for disqualification, even if the judge believes there is no basis for disqualification. The test under the canon is whether an objective person knowledgeable of all circumstances would have a reasonable basis for doubting the judge's impartiality. The question is not whether the judge's impartiality is impaired, in fact, but whether there exists a reasonable basis for questioning a judge's impartiality. This legal standard is not lofty. The accused has a federal due process right to an unbiased judge under the 5th and 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Judicial bias is one of the narrow classes of constitutional violations that implicate structural error. Cases of judicial bias involve a denial of the most fundamental constitutions of due process, so fundamental that a conviction in their absence is indecent, even if the defendant is plainly guilty. Structural errors render a criminal trial fundamentally unfair and are not subject to harmless error analysis. The preamble to the Code of Judicial Conduct provides that judges should aspire at all times to conduct that ensures the greatest possible public confidence in their independence, impartiality, integrity, and competence. Richard Allen incorporates his first verified motion to disqualify, filed January 28th, as it fully set out herein. After the Supreme Court quickly reinstated the defense following oral arguments on the same day, the Indiana Supreme Court did not grant Allen's request for Judge Gull to be recused based upon the limited record set out at that time by Allen's appellate counsel. On January 28, 2024, the defense filed its motion requesting Judge Gull to be disqualified, knowing that the Indiana Supreme Court was not aware of all the reasons Allen could cite to that showed a rational interference of bias. The defense cited 18 reasons for Judge Gull to recuse herself in that January 28th motion. On February 6, 2024, before finding out exactly why the Indiana Supreme Court rejected Allen's request to have her removed, Judge Gull denied the defense's request for her to be removed. Judge Gull's one-sentence denial of the defense motion to have her disqualified stated that the court, having defendant's verified motion to disqualify, filed January 28, 2024, defendant's affidavit filed January 28, 2024, and certification of Richard Allen's attorneys filed January 28, 2024, under advisement, and having considered the pleadings, now denies the verified motion to disqualify without hearing, as the Indiana Supreme Court unanimously denied the defendant's previous request on January 18th. Emphasis added. Had Judge Gull awaited only 2 more days before ruling on the defense motion to have her disqualified, she would have had the benefit of learning exactly why the Indiana Supreme Court did not disqualify Judge Gull. First of all, she doesn't have to wait. Secondly, she had no way of knowing when the Supreme Court was going to come down with their written decision. Secondly, what in the world? When I gave this to my judge friend and he was looking at this, he goes, first of all, these attorneys are so condescending to the court. He's never seen anything like it. He said that if this was in his court, they would be in contempt so fast because of how they speak to the court, how they assume that the court is ignorant of the law. They are sitting here citing page after page after page of law. They don't have to do that. They're writing and recording the preamble to the Code of Conduct. They don't have to do that. This judge is not in the not know. She knows these things. And it's just ridiculous. And they go over and they just keep going on. And what he kept saying to me was, my God, it's just more pages and pages and pages. How much are they going to continue to say this over and over and over again, just because this judge didn't see it their way? That is an evidence of impartiality. It's not it's not in any way showing that she is biased towards Richard Allen. And for them to say that she treats the prosecution more favorably than the defense, perhaps it's because of the defense's behavior and how the defense treats her and treats the court. Judge Gull engaged in the act of prosecuting Richard Allen by inviting the prosecutor to file pretrial motions seeking the limitation of evidence of third-party culpability and also forecasting the outcome of such a request by the state. Now, that is pretty flammable by what they're saying here. There is nothing wrong with the court letting the prosecution know, if you're going to object to this, do it properly with pretrial motions where you seek the limitation of evidence. There's nothing wrong with her giving that direction to the prosecution. She's basically telling them, you have to put this in writing. You have to put this on record in the court. Judge Gull placed the blame on defense counsel and its staff for administrative failures in maintaining confidentiality of ex parte defense filings, whereas evidence revealed that failures were on the court side of the filings. I think there was tons of administrative failures as well as blatant disregard for evidence by the defense that sent her over the edge. And she was appalled at the incompetence and sloppiness of these so-called attorneys with all of this experience. They keep touting the 100 years of collective experience that they all have. And my judge friend said, why don't they start acting like it? Because they absolutely aren't. So they're trying to blame somebody else for them not going to trial on May 13th when it was them that requested the continuance. They have had plenty of time to prepare for this trial. They are using everything under the sun to claim that they don't. And it's not Fran Gull's job to make sure that they're going through all of the evidence, that they're making sure that they dot all of their I's and cross all of their T's. That is not her job to do, or to give them, the direction on what they still need to do or not need to do. These guys should know this. She has overseen plenty of murder trials, and even murder trials with the death penalty attached. She doesn't need them to send her motions trying to educate her on the law. And I find it absolutely disgusting on how they treat her. And again, would they treat a judge that was of the male persuasion in the same way? I'm bringing that up because I'm sorry, but these guys, the way that they are attacking her, I can't help but think that they would not be the same if this was a male judge versus a female sitting judge. That's just my feeling on it. She is a very strong woman. She has stood up to them on every account, toe to toe, and they're mad, very mad. But as he stated, they put forth page after page after page as to why they wanted her to be recused or taken off of this case, and they give no evidence as to why. Simply stating something doesn't make it factual. You have to bring the tea. You have to bring the evidence. And it's just ridiculous. The whole trying to blame Judge Gull for where Richard Allen is housed, just absolutely, I find hilarious. The safekeeping order was put in place for his safety. They did not want him to become harmed before he was able to go to court. If they were concerned about Richard Allen being housed in state prison, they would have gotten him to trial long before now, especially if he's innocent. And that is my opinion I am stating. So after we go through all these pages, and I'm not kidding you guys, we are up to item number, I'm not even reading these to you anymore. Let's see. the motions. We are clear up above 100 items on this filing. Again, it's another Frank's motion gone awry. It's just ridiculous. And I believe there should be a public outcry for this because it's just gotten ridiculous. They keep complaining about discovery, and yet they've had the discovery. The fact that they don't know how to look at the discovery or where to look and what to go through, that again is not the state's job. It's not the state's job to hand feed them the discovery. That's not them. That's not on them. What the judge is supposed to do in this case is to settle disputes, and they have to be careful when they do this that they don't do this except according to the law. And them trying to tell her that well, if you rule one way, it's going to look like from the outside looking in that people are going to view you as biased, and the perception of the lawyers and other parties in the case is going to take away from the judge being impartial. Really, again, it sounds like kids who were slapped on their hands by their mothers and told that they won't be able to do that again, and now they're ticked off. It's just it's ridiculous. Okay, I don't know who you are, but I never once claimed to be a legal expert, and I'm entitled to my opinion, and this defense has delayed everything. And if you don't see that, then you are looking at this case through rose-colored glasses, Mary Ann Foster. Good Lord. They have no defense, you guys. And this is exactly right, CJK. It is pathetic because instead of doing these frivolous filings, they should be working on Richard Allen's defense and how they're going to defend him at trial. And instead of that, they're doing all this other crap. Stop and think about that. Oh, it's okay, Piper's Dream. No problem at all. But yeah, it is. And, nobody is saying that he's not innocent until proven guilty. I'm sick and tired of hearing that. Where are Abby and Libby's rights? Where are Abby and Libby's rights? It is very well known that in our criminal justice system, victims don't have rights. Stop and think about that. And how you would feel if this was your children or your child that had been brutally murdered. And when you have a man who has claimed he was there, who has claimed that he did this horrible deed to his mother, to his wife, to his jailers, to his doctors, to his therapists, to the warden. I don't know how many times people need to hear him say it. I just can't believe it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. These are the flat earth people. These are the people who believe the earth is flat. It has to be. So, it's like, I'm just like I said, I'm just tired. I'm tired of these frivolous motions. But this one takes the cake, you guys. I mean, We finished this out at item number 146. And we know Richard Allen didn't write this affidavit, you guys. Somebody wrote this for him and had him sign it. I hope he read it. Because, you know, my feeling is Judge Gull's continued involvement in this case will leave a cloud of doubt over the legitimacy of the proceedings. The same can be said about Rosie and Baldwin remaining as legal counsel, because I see them absolutely not doing any favors for their client. I wish they would defend him and stop this grandstanding. It's ridiculous. They filed a motion to continue the hearings on all matters that are currently set to be heard May 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. She did not respond to this, you guys, just so you know. It was filed on the 17th, yesterday, and she did not rule on this. And they have asked that everything be halted. And what again, here we go. Comes now the accused, Richard Allen, by and through counsel, Brad, Rosie, and Andrew, and then nothing. Andrew who? No last name. And moves this court to continue all pending motions currently set to be beard, not heard, but beard on May 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. In support of said motion, the accused states the following. At the May 7th hearing, when the jury trial on this matter was continued from May 13th to October 14th, 2024, at the same hearing, the court set several pending matters for the hearing on May 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. The defense has therefore been adding to that motion, as well as re-editing the motion, taking additional time to prepare said motion for filing. The new motion required Richard Allen's signature, and because Richard Allen has been moved back to Wabash Valley Correctional, it is logistically difficult for Richard Allen to review the document and sign the document so that it comports with the legal requirements of a request for disqualification. Richard Allen has just signed the documents as needed, and therefore the defense files its motion to disqualify at the same time as the motion to continue next week's hearings. As the court is aware, at the time Richard Allen's petitions this court for change of venue from the judge, this court will be without jurisdiction to do anything other than rule on the motion. Additionally, the defense is requesting Judge Gull to issue findings of fact and conclusions of law if she issues a ruling denying the defense motion to have her disqualified. Therefore, Judge Gull will not be able to conduct a hearing or rule on any matters until she has reviewed the motion to disqualify and entered findings of fact and conclusions of law. Again, they're saying, we know more about the law, Judge Gull, than you do, and you can't do this. I don't think that you should ever tell a judge what she can or can't do in a motion. I think that that absolutely puts you in a bad light accordingly to the court. At least it would be for me. Additionally, on May 15th, the state of Indiana turned over a new phone extraction that had been conducted this past weekend. The defense received possession of that new phone extraction less than 1 week before the motion in limine hearing was set and needs more time to review the phone extraction data. Based upon a quick review of the phone extraction, it is likely that the defense will use this new data as part of its evidentiary presentation, arguing against the prosecution's motion in limine to not discuss third-party suspects, as it appears that the new phone extraction provides favorable evidence for the defense. but the defense needs additional time to review the entire phone extraction in order to be prepared to argue against the prosecution's motion in limine. Maybe you should use that time wisely, gentlemen. Maybe you should be using that time instead of writing 160 point documents that are frivolous to the court, asking for the judge's recusal. You should be working on the defense and the evidence in this case. Perhaps then you wouldn't need all of this so-called extra time. Just a thought on my side. So again, it's just ridiculous. I don't know what's going to come next week. Honestly, I don't see her taking herself off of this case. Like I said, I think that the Supreme Court was completely siding with her on every point except the one where she did not have the hearing in open court and she had them in her chambers. Again, she tried to afford them the courtesy of professionalism. They didn't care. They threw her under the bus, tried to roll back over her 3 or 4 different times, and here we are. So it's they repeat themselves over and over and over again, Annabelle. Absolutely. Absolutely. They just keep saying the same thing and they just word it a little bit differently. And honestly, it isn't even professional in how they do it. It just smacks of incompetence and sloppiness. Yeah, 63 clocks exactly. They approach the discovery review and the defense of their client the same way they do these filings, and it's unprofessional. And with them touting so much experience, they should know better. Yeah, Corey, I don't know if it has to be an actual physical signature. I'm thinking it does, and that they won't allow him to sign anything electronically. And that's just me, speaking out loud. I don't know. If somebody happens to know the law in Indiana on that, please correct me, because I just pretty much think they just, granted, that's how we do things these days. Everybody signs a PDF and it, and you email the document, you read it, you sign it, you email it back. So yeah, it's just it's just crazy because they are grasping at straws, and that's what I would expect them to do, like I said, when they don't have a defense of Richard Allen. And I don't believe they have a defense. And again, just because they want to talk about odiness in court doesn't mean that that's going to even make it into the courtroom. And at this point in time, I don't see it making it into the courtroom, because I don't think that they have enough evidence to put these odinists in Delphi the day of the murders. And you have to. As far as the plea bargaining goes, again, I'm kind of on the fence with that one. Obviously, it's a possibility. It's out there. I know that some of my counterparts are thinking that it absolutely is going to happen. that, that a plea will get done. And that may very well be, but I don't see that at this point in the game. I don't see that happening. I don't see evidence of a plea going on or plea discussions going on. And again, the state has to accept it and the court has to accept it. Just because he wants to plead doesn't mean he gets to. Those plea deals are deals. They have to be accepted by the prosecution and they have to be accepted by the judge and the court. 63 Clocks, thank you so much for your gifted membership. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, you guys. Brandon says if they happen to get the Odinism angle into court, I hope Thor is a witness. Yeah. Hey, Jill. Thank you. Welcome to the membership. Hey, Jinxie, how are ya? Thank you for keeping an eye out on the chat for me tonight. Seems that there's some trolls out there. Hey there, Derek. He's been a member for 20 months, you guys. Almost 2 years he's been with me. I appreciate him very much. I can't believe how long it's taking to get justice for these two girls. It makes me ill. Same, Salty Beach. I can't believe it either. I just can't. It's like, if you would have asked me 5 years ago if we would be where we are today in this case, I would have never guessed it. I do remember talking to True Crime Maria back in 2022, like in the early spring of 2022, and we were really deep diving into the Kleins and all the stuff that the murder sheet brought to us, and we were deep diving all of that, and we were looking at all these things. And I said to her then, I was like, Maria, if they arrest somebody in this case, I firmly believe that there is going to be an entire faction of people that will not believe it because of all of the POIs that there have been and the staunch sides that people take to defend those POIs. And I mean, I've had numerous live streams over the years about this. I've had the captain from True Crime Garage on to talk about it. I've talked about it with Who's Your Cold Case. I've talked about it with Steve from True Crime Web. I've talked about it with Frank Meister. I've talked about it with Ruckus. We have discussed this over and over again about why people refuse to look at evidence that's right in front of their faces and why they want to stick with the person of interest that they have believed did these crimes. When there's no direct evidence, there's not even any superficial evidence against these people. You can't even place them in Delphi, for God's sakes. But they firmly believe that they're guilty and that they're part of this. And even when one of them was at work and it's been proven, it's really crazy. Maureen, I am impressed with Nick McClelland as well. I remember when everything happened, back when Robert Ives took himself off the case and Nick McClelland became the prosecutor, and everybody was like, this guy doesn't have any experience. How is he going to handle this case? How is he going to deal with this case? And then when the arrest came, and we were all saying the same thing, how's this guy going to deal with this case? I think he's done very well myself. I think he has stood toe-to-toe with these crazy defense attorneys. And I think that he has put himself out there, has been extremely professional. Even with all the antics and everything that's going on with what the defense has been doing and all these crazy motions, Nick has stayed level-headed and kept his filings professional, and he's not attacking them. And, he's been very professional in how he has shown why his motions should be heard or not heard. Bye, Ruckus. Thanks for hanging out. I'm so glad you were here. And, I think that we are going to see a different Nick McClelland once we get to court, because I think that he will be more direct. And I think that you are going to see probably some volatility come out of him. It'll be interesting. And, when I was talking to my judge friend, and we were going over all these documents together last night, and I was talking to him about all of this. And I said, and he laughed. He goes, take her off the case. Let him get a judge that's even more strict and more harsh than she is. And then what are they going to want to do? Throw that judge off too? That's not how it works. And they know that. So, I think that we will see a different side of our prosecutor, because I do believe that he is invested in this case. And I believe that he wants justice for Abby and Libby. And I believe that he has full belief and confidence in his case. At this point, I do not believe that he is not fully confident in the case that he has against Richard Allen. So, well, I definitely think, Kel, that you're not going to run into the situation where the judge is going to have to object for him. I guarantee you that Nick McClelland will do his own objections. I don't know if you guys have been watching, but there's been a couple of trials recently where the judge had to actually do some objections because the defense wasn't objecting for their client when they should have been. And I agree. I believe that these guys are actually feeding on the drama that they're creating. And they're making it all about them and not about Richard Allen. And again, it's all about this character assassination, and they're trying to do this character assassination of Fran Gull. And I think it's going to backfire on them. I honestly do. I just do. Yeah, Priscilla, you are absolutely right. Nick's filings are organized. They're well thought out, professional. And whoever's writing these up for him is definitely using their spell checker and their grammar checker. Which, we all know that is just, that's just common sense. This is 2024, and it's available to you for everything that you write. And it's just, it should be. Hey, Fig. How are you, my dear? It's good to see you. Loved your new video. You guys go check out Fig Solve's new video if you didn't get to see it. It's about 45 minutes long, and it absolutely critiques the Court TV documentary that was just recently done, which I highly suggest everyone watch. So, I think, I mean, basically when I start reading these motions, I just go, for fig's sake, for fig's sake, you guys, it's just ridiculous. But Fig continues to bring it, and to show the craziness around this defense team, and state there, for example, stating the fact that nobody said Bridge Guy was short. One of the three teenage witnesses said Bridge Guy was short. She said he was just barely over her height. Come on. It's just, I guess it's just about it's about who's paying attention and who's not when it comes to this case. It's hard to tell Bridge Guy's height by looking at that video. And you guys can think what you want, but you just can't. I mean, it's until you get on that bridge in person and you're standing there, you can't even tell the enormous length and height of that bridge. It's like I said, videos and photos don't do it justice. It's like looking at the Grand Canyon in a picture and then standing on the South Rim and looking at it with your eyes. There's no comparison. Absolutely no comparison. Fig, we love you. I told you before, there are a ton of people that have your back. And don't let the haters get you down. I think that Farmer's right. I think that sociology classes in the future, when this case is all said and done, will have a field day with this case. And it'll be a good study as to all the things that have happened in it. I mean, come on, you guys. We've had a person take their own life over this case. Stop and think about that. Mustang, it's not doing too bad. I said earlier in the show, sorry, my voice is starting to go. Last week, I think it was Monday, I went to stand up and I didn't use my hands on my chair arms to help push myself up. I just stood up. And when I did that, my my quad muscle in my surgical leg completely seized up, like a major Charlie horse. It was so ungodly painful. I thought that I tore something, honestly, when it happened. And it was tight as a bowstring for about 4.5 days. They put me on really strong muscle relaxers and back on my pain pills. And then physical therapy worked and pushed and worked to try to get it to release. It's better today. But they said that that's very common. As you guys may or may not know, the quad is what makes us keep standing. It's what keeps us standing upright is our quad muscle, which is the muscle on the top of our thighs. And I have a super, a pretty good size marble size knot in my IT band, which runs from the top of your hip down the side of your leg to your ankle on the surgical leg. So yeah, I got that too. But I'm still being as, active as I can be. I'm still not back in the gym. I have to wait until my surgeon releases me, and that won't be until the 28th of May. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm not in YouTube's chat. Derek, I'm in StreamYard, so I don't know. You might ask somebody that's actually in the YouTube chat if they know why that would be. Love to hunt. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm really doing well though, you guys. Thank you so much. The ice, my ice machine is my best friend. I was icing before I came in here to do my live, and as soon as I, oh, you're fine. You're fine, Derek. No problem. I was icing before, and I'll ice when I get off. I'm like, I wasn't going to go live. I told Frank, we were talking yesterday about it because he's not been feeling great either. And I said to him, I said I wasn't going to go live. And then the more I thought about it, and then after I saw this stupid filing that came about, I was like, I have to say something about this. It's driving me crazy. But stay pressed, Delulu Bishes. I know you are being facetious when you say that Francis Gull knows nothing about the law. Hey, Rescue. Thank you for putting up Kiana and Kiara, Cariel, and Kyani's names, please, because you know what? We absolutely want justice for those girls. And I don't remember what it was I was watching, but over the last 10 days or so, I rewatched another video. It was a different perspective of the dashboard, the dash camera video from the night of the fire for Flora. And I'm telling you, you guys, there's something wrong. There's just something wrong. There's just something that does not add up with that case, and how and why those girls were not rescued. And I firmly believe that the officers that went in that shouldn't have gone in wanted to save the girls. I mean, he almost died trying to do it. So, and it's the truth, Fig. They are condescending little twerps. It's just ridiculous. Because that's what I see them as. And I see them as little boys who got smacked on the hands by their mom, and now they're mad and they're throwing a fit. Oh, I just moved to the forest in southern Western Australia last month, and I just saw a jumping spider in my garden yesterday and thought of you. That's cool. I bet it was a beautiful spider, because Australia has some really cool insects. That's awesome. My oldest grandson came to mow my grass this morning, and I was still kind of groggy. I was still laying in bed when he got here. And he comes in, he goes, Grams, you have a jumping spider on your front door. So I had to go out and check out the jumping spider that was on my front door. And I was like, I looked at it for a minute and I thought, yeah, I have a house that I could put you in. And so I took him, I grabbed him. And people are like, well, how did you do that? Well, I grabbed him in one of these because this is how I catch them when I do catch them. Put him in one of these. And then I had this house that I had empty. And so I put him in here. And he's actually made himself a little cocoon web, and he's right here. And I've already fed him and he ate. So there you go, guys. That's what I do. So hey Captain, how are you? Good to see you. Always good to see you. So let's see. Oh, rescue, come on. Yeah, I don't understand any of it. But I said it before and I'm going to say it again. You guys, they are going to continue to have motion after motion after motion. This is going to be what we have in this case. I know that Frank is planning on, Frank and Rescue are planning on being in Delphi on Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, or at least for sure Tuesday next week. And unless something happens on Monday that she was to continue, those hearings, I just don't really think that she's going to. But we're just going to have to sit back. I said before, it's going to be a roller coaster ride. And if you think it's a roller coaster ride for us, imagine how it feels to be the family members that are watching this sideshow put on by these guys. They just want to go to court and hear the evidence and hear what happened to their girls and see the person responsible, get what is coming to them. That's what the family wants. And you can't blame them for wanting that, And yeah, I think it's going to happen. But I think we're in for a long haul. And, one of the things that I think is interesting, and I saw an interview with Susan Hendricks over the weekend, and she made a comment that Paul Holes told her at CrimeCon a couple of years ago, I think back in 2019, that the sad thing about these cases is that, and that people aren't aware of, that there is so many different things that the defense can choose to do to delay. And believe it or not, when you don't have much of a case to defend against, the best thing that the defense can do is to delay the trial. And that is why a lot of these cases take years and years to come to court. And do I want to see this drag on for years? No, I don't think any of us do. But we may be in for that. This may not happen in October. And we have to be prepared for that. And at this point, I'm prepared for anything, because I really didn't think we would get a continuance from the May date. So there you go. And Kelly's right. You know, you got to love the billable hours that they're billing for this, because those defense attorneys are getting paid. The longer they drag this out, the more money they're going to make. Do they make more money in the private sector? At this point in time, I doubt it. They've already spent, look at how much money that they've spent. But, you know, it's neither here nor there. He's entitled to his defense. He's entitled to that, you guys. And we can't lose sight of that. So the delay tactics that the defense is doing is normal. Don't freak out about it. Take everything they file with a grain of salt at this point, because they are shooting at everything in the dark. I hear you, Brown Skittle. I hear you. There's a lot of people that have used this case as a springboard into fame and fortune, and it's sad, but that is the way of the world, and it is the way of the true crime community, unfortunately. I know why I'm here. I know why I started my channel. My heart is always been and always will be for the families first. That is my ultimate goal, is to tell the story of Abby and Libby the best that I possibly can, and to advocate for them and for the family, because they deserve that. And Frank's right. Remember that Judge Gull set the trial to begin October 14th for a reason. She had to set it before his 2 years was up, or otherwise he would have to have a bond hearing. And there's no way they're letting him bond out. Yes, Farmer, you're right. We ain't 10-year-olds. And we do know when someone's being questioned and when someone's being badgered. There's a lot of badgering that has gone on. And I can't believe that she allowed Rosie to talk to her the way he did at that last court hearing. But yeah. Well, you guys, I've been on for an hour and a half. I need to go ice my knee. I'm really glad that we had this time together. I've missed all of you. It's good to see all of you and see you guys interacting with each other. My community here is wonderful. What we have here is a great community. And, I think that what we should remember always is that this is about Abby and Libby. It's not about me. It's not about anybody on YouTube. It's not about the defense attorneys. It's not about anybody else. It's about justice for two little girls that have been waiting a long time for their justice. And Abby and Libby were just hanging out as friends do. And Libby gave us the best evidence she possibly could. She gave us the man's voice, and she gave us a video of this man. And for that, I will always, always be proud of her. But it's going to be Richard Allen's own words that seal his fate. Mark my words. It's going to be Richard Allen's own words that seal his fate. Thank you guys for being here again. And I've missed you all. And I hope everyone has the great rest of your weekend. And be safe out there and be kind. It doesn't take anything to be kind. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell if you want to know when I'm going live again. I know YouTube's not been very good about notifying people, but that's the best that we have. I appreciate all of you showing up tonight on such a short notice. But yeah, good night, everybody, and have an absolute fabulous weekend.